So welcome to the Node.js Node API team meeting for August 4th, 2023. We'll follow our standard approach at looking at the things that are tagged for milestone 11. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so I think the first thing to start with, is there anything new that we want to mention in terms of news or anything like that in terms of Node add-on API? Okay, no news. And in terms of driving towards full coverage, I don't know that I don't have any update on that. Does anybody else have anything to discuss there? Same with the list of C language bindings. I haven't enabled debug testing for add-ons. Looking through. Gabriel, I don't know if you want us to dive into the MIT license issue. Is there anything to discuss there?
It's pretty much done. Two PRs are left. They are approved by all the necessary people, and I'm just waiting to land them at 8:28 approximately, because, well, local time, because that's when the week will have expired. And since they only have one reviewer, they have to sit there for a week.
Okay. Sounds good.
So yeah, I can close this issue when those two PRs have landed.
So basically the reviewer is the non-active people, or
the only person, there were three people. There was Joan, there was Jim, and Kevin. And I reached out to Jim. He approved both PRs the same day. And everybody else is still an active contributor, so I got approvals without having to reach out specifically.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so then I think that takes us back to stale issues. So I know, Vladimir, you continue to work on this one, right? Anything worth discussing this week?
It was some issues with Linux, and I think I figured it out. Like I just sent PR, also update to PR. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So progressing. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. There we go. There we go. Back to here. Right. So I don't know, Chenzong, this one, if you have anything we should discuss on this one.
I have no progress this week.
Okay. This one, Gabriel, I guess you have this landed. So I think this one we can close out, right?
Let me see documentation. Okay, yeah, the example has landed. Yeah, so I think if there's nothing else to do, we can close this one.
Okay, I'm going to hide that then. Let's say resolve. Okay. I don't know if we should delete. Anyway, and then this one, I don't know, Vladimir, anything to discuss, or just in the backlog?
No progress on this side.
Okay, so that's all of our stale issues. So we can pop on over to issues in the repos themselves. We have no open PRs in ABI stable node. It's good. This one, this is for the examples, right?
Yeah, this is the license thing. Yeah, we talked about this one.
So this one you'll come back and close once it lands.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I'm in the wrong repo now. Always do that. Node add-on equal. I was wondering why that didn't seem quite right, and how we had no pull requests. We got one pull request, so there's work in progress on the testing. This one, I guess there was a question. I see Kevin has answered that. So that's good. This one answered as well. So that's good. Overload operator. All right. So I think enhancement. I think, Gabriel, it sounds like you've jumped into this one a little bit. Anything to discuss or? Like, do we think this one, the discussion's closed and you've answered the question, or is there still something more we should keep open for?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So let's see. Yeah, there's not much we can do here because it's not really something we can test because we cannot. V8 does not allow us to obtain the getter and the setter for a property that was defined using a node API or defined on the native side. Like normally, if you define getters and setters for a property using the JavaScript APIs, then you can later retrieve those getters and setters, and you could potentially replace them and so forth. And that's when a check would be useful. But if you create those getters and setters using Node API, they cannot be retrieved using the same like JavaScript or ECMA script spec compliant mechanism, and so therefore they cannot be replaced, and therefore it makes no sense to check them as you would a prototype method, which can be called directly with a different object set as its context, in which case it needs to fail because we would segfault on the native side, but we cannot segfault with getters and setters because they cannot be replaced. They cannot be retrieved from the JavaScript side. So that's where this issue is. I believe it can be closed. I don't know what the comment means because it's not written in Latin letters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Bunch of comments on pull requests, like or issues.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be sometimes those are like spam comments or something, but
I can try to post it in Google Translate just in case, but I don't.
I think maybe I'll go ahead and close it, and if you find it's something relevant, you can reopen and.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. That's good. Okay, so I don't see anything else. Is there anything else that we should discuss in those issues? No, let's flip over to. So I don't see any, just from the dates, I don't see anything that we haven't discussed in the past. Is there anything here that we should dive in and discuss this week?
Last week I contacted a developer who did this libnode, and apparently he had a chance to update a PR. It's about libnode, and he's asking some questions which, according to his opinion, requires some discussion. Can you open this PR?
Sure. Yep.
I
I
personally don't have much information about this. Yeah, it's this one.
This one, yeah. Okay.
And if you scroll all the way down.
Yep. Scroll. Okay.
So he said like there are a couple of issues needs to be discussed in.
Looking for the modules relative to the binary and passing this path as a new global symbol needs to be discussed.
It's one issue, and what is also dynamic API level? Do you guys know like what this dynamic API levels are?
I'm guessing that might be the dynamic. Was that like the node API dynamic level? Like maybe is that the node API level? Like, because this is a consumer of the API, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure either. Could it be like a compiler flag?
Yeah, it's a new
Let's look in
real.
here.
If you look on the build results, I see like this make snapshot issue he mentioned. It shows up in a build log, like in failed, one of the errors for the build.
So like,
At least for Windows side. So if you click on the very first one, details.
Okay.
I think the first issue he talks about, like it's probably on this log. Yeah, I think it was on the very top. I saw.
so is it right at the bottom or
No,
right
on
here?
the top, like on the very beginning.
Okay.
I just pretty much asked like if you guys know what I was not sure what the issues he was talking about.
See if I can find anything that says error.
In my case, it's jumps.
Right.
Yeah, if you over here, yes, you're right. Okay, see, it's a line 4453.
Yeah.
It's like it's complaints about this path. So something about make snapshot path. I assume
But is that a change? I mean, we'd have to look.
Oh,
in the
I see. I think this looks like there's a scope issue because it's compiling make snapshot, right? Which means, and if I remember correctly, this means that it's basically creating like a dummy binary with all the code in lib, right? And it's saving that code. Well, no, it's recording the state of V8 and serializing the state of V8 into a C string, which gets output to a generated C file, which then gets linked into the node.js binary, which then loads it so that when node.js boots up, it doesn't need to execute everything in lib so as to define our APIs, but rather they are already defined. So the engine is initialized in such a way as if it had already executed all that code, and that saves on startup time a great deal. And so what it looks like is that these changes cause there to be scoping issues because, you know, if two separate files in lib both require path, then they should have the same scoping setup that public scripts have set up, which is that, you know, you can do that because everything inside the file is actually in an IFI if it's CommonJS. And I think ES6 modules also have that kind of setup because they are just a thin wrap around CommonJS. But again, I'm not 100% sure. What I am sure about is that there's got to be a scoping issue, because if two of those modules require declare this constant path, if there is no scoping between them, then you will get this error because they are within the same scope when they shouldn't be. This is what it smells like to me, but again, I'm not 100% sure of everything.
Actually, it's much more information that I had. It's actually thanks. At least I got some clue what it's all about. Okay, I just need to look for the code and understand how he defines his path. It sounds like based on what you said, there is some kind of a clash between path they defined in their code, and then it's what we have in this make snapshot. Okay, at least it will give me some good clue. Okay, thanks.
Yep, no worries.
Yeah, and the dynamic API level, I don't quite know what that is.
Can we simply ask a follow-up question?
Yeah, I think just asking would be. I don't know if Vladimir, you just wanted to ask, like, what did you mean by the dynamic API is probably.
Okay, so the first one, like about this path, I'll just simply review latest and greatest changes to basically understand what might be root of the issue, and for dynamic, I'll just ask a question. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
in terms of the like the path to modules, right? So it says the embedded environment is neither a ESX nor CGS environment, does not really have a main script.
Thought,
Yeah, I think the problem here is that when you load when you normally run Node.js with a script, right? Then the root of the environment is the directory in
That the script came from.
which that script is located. Yeah, exactly. But in this case, the root of the environment is unclear because you're launching the environment dynamically. Maybe this should be a parameter to. I mean, this introduces a Node API, which basically launches an entire Node environment, is my understanding, right? And so maybe the starting directory for that environment needs to be a parameter of the API. Am I understanding?
That was my first thought, was like, maybe we just need to have like, that way the embedder has full control over what happens. If they want to make it the same as their executable, they can do that. If they want to specify something else, they can do that too, right?
Yeah, I think that would be reasonable.
So I can put a comment here, so maybe like from discussion. Take the whatever was this called, take the. Does that sound good to people?
There's some spelling on the first sentence. I think you mentioned that reasonable that after reasonable.
Okay. Right, there's two does. It seems reasonable that.
And I guess second question he has like about. I guess he can introduces new global symbol to be used inside of a script. Maybe it's name of this symbol which needs to be defined.
Does that need to be a new, like, wouldn't it be better to just make it seem as if we were running a script that was loaded from a particular directory and use whatever that is set to, rather than something else we have to deal with?
Yeah, that's true, because he says that it doesn't have a main script. Well, why not? Like, you're defining a new API, you can just pass in the path to a main script, and then we can behave exactly as Node does. And I suppose you have the opportunity to simulate that, because the main script could be a native script. You know what I mean? Like, what is preventing you from launching Node instead of saying node something.js? What if you said node something.node, meaning that the main script is actually a native add-on? So you know, and then the native add-on launches JavaScript, etc., and it's all good. That is an opportunity here. But basically the idea is that there is some sort of main script, whether that's JavaScript or and whether that JavaScript is CommonJS, ES6, or even native, is something that we can explore as a feature of this API.
So I think I tried to capture that as maybe that's not proper English.
Looks good.
Any other things in there we should discuss, answer, try to answer?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Should, because I was not sure about some points he made, and I was hoping to discuss it with you folks.
Sounds good. Any other topics we should discuss or sync on?
If we have nothing else for this week, I do have one question that's not related to Node API, but to the Node release process. If I land something on master and it merges cleanly into 20, it's gonna get backported automatically, right? Because 20 is not yet LTS.
Yeah, no, most things go back. If it lands cleanly, it should just go out in the next 20 release.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Might be some timing, like, you know, there's a release proposal made.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's already one in flight, in which case, like, it might be into the next one. But yeah, you can keep an eye out for the next release proposal, and it should just be there.
Okay, thank you.
If the releasers have trouble backporting something, they'll tag it with like backport requested. But yeah, otherwise the intent is to just keep things up to date. If you want something to go back further, like 18, that you might need to be like, it quite possibly could get back there, but it's something where I would personally watch it a little bit more closely to see if there's
agreed. Yeah. I remember several releases of Node API. I just couldn't remember anymore, because you know our releases almost never merge cleanly, especially the initial ones, because they had such big changes. And I remember doing like massive backports, but this one is a trivial change, so it should go cleanly. That's why I wasn't sure. It's
yeah, I know. Hopefully it'll just flow back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I was far more familiar with the off nominal path than with the happy path.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Thanks, though.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, I won't be around next time, but thanks to everybody for sticking around. I'm going to stop the stream, and I think, Gabriel, you wanted to stick around just to see if you